Alright, so we're going to talk about arithmetic sequence, and your learning target is I can identify arithmetic sequences and find nth terms of those sequences. Okay, so let's go through some definitions. So let's do a first definition, a sequence, a list of numbers that form a pattern. Okay, a sequence is a list of numbers that form a pattern, and each number in the sequence is called a term. Okay, term, T-E-R-M. Each sequence or each number in the sequence is called a term. An arithmetic sequence says that when terms of a sequence are different by the same number d, okay, d meaning that's the difference of the number, d is the common difference. Okay, so common difference is this big long blank between the term and the previous term. Okay, that's what a sequence is and an arithmetic sequence. Okay, let's do some examples. So example 1 asks us to determine whether each sequence appears to be an arithmetic sequence. If so, find the common difference between the next three terms. Okay, so to do this, what we have to do is we have to find the common difference between the terms. Okay, from 9 to 13, we see we are adding 4. From 13 to 17, we are adding 4. And from 17 to 21, we are also adding 4. Okay, and so because each of those terms are it's a common difference, that means that yes, this is an arithmetic sequence. Okay, because it adds 4 each time, each term. Okay, now it said that if we do find that there is a common difference, we need to find the next three terms. Okay, so if we were to add 4 to 21, it would be 25. Add 4 to 25 would be 29. And finally, add 4 to 29 would be 33. Okay, so that's how you answer those types of problems. Let's do B here. It's the same type of thing. From 10 to 8, we're subtracting 2. From 8 to 5, we're subtracting 3, and we already tell there's a difference. And from 5 to 1, we're subtracting 4. And so this is not an arithmetic sequence, because there is no common difference. There is no common difference. There is no common difference. Okay? So the key concept here, in order to find the nth term of an arithmetic sequence, we first need to identify the first term in the sequence and the common difference between the terms given. Okay, and then that second step, is to use the formula a sub n is equal to a sub 1 plus n minus 1 times d, where n, the n for both these two spots, is the indicated term that is being solved for. Okay, so it's asking you to find that term. Okay, that is what n is. A1 is the first term given. Okay, so A1 is the very first term that we know, and D is the common difference. Okay, D is the common difference. So we need to identify what N is, what A sub 1 is, the first term, and what D is in order to solve these problems. Okay, example 2 asks us to do this. It asks us to find the indicated term of each arithmetic sequence. Okay, so we want to find out what the 16th term is. We want to find out what the 16th term. So in order to do this, the very first thing we need to do is identify what our three things are. What n is, what a sub 1 is, and what our common difference is. Okay, n is that term that we're trying to solve for. So n would be 16. A sub 1, remember that's our first term, and our first term that we start out with is at 4. And the common difference between all of these, we see from 4 to 8, we're adding 4. From 8 to 12, we're adding 4. And from 12 to 16, we're also adding 4. So our common difference is just that, it's 4. We're adding 4. Okay, now we're going to put that into that equation there, that formula that I gave you guys at the very beginning. And I'm going to write it down just to remind us. It's a sub n is equal to a sub 1 plus n minus 1 times d. Okay, So that's what the formula is. Now we're going to go ahead and just plug our numbers in and solve that. Okay, we know n, the one that we're solving for, is 16. So a sub 16 is equal to our first term, which is 4, plus 16 minus 1 times d, which is 4, right? Okay. Now it's simplifying this problem. Okay. A sub 16 is equal to 4. We have to do what's inside the parentheses first, which will make that 15 times 4. And 15 times 4 is actually 60. If you need to use a calculator for that, you most certainly can. And finally, 60 plus 4 is 64. So essentially what that means then is that the 16th term in this arithmetic sequence that we have here is 64. Okay, so let's do the same type of thing here, except this time we're already given what our n is, what the first term is, and what our d, our common difference, is. And so we're just using our same formula here, except it's a sub 25 is equal to our first term, which is negative 5, plus 25 minus 1. Okay, 25, remember that's our n, our nth term, times our common difference, which is negative 2. So we're just using this formula, up here, and we are putting those numbers in. We're substituting those numbers in. Okay, so let's go ahead and solve this. A sub 25 is equal to our negative 5 plus 25 minus 1, which is 24, times negative 2. And we know 25 times a negative 2 is actually a negative 48. And if we're subtracting two numbers that are both negative, or sorry, if we're adding two numbers that are both negatives, then really we're just adding it and keeping that sign. So negative 5 plus a negative 4 is actually negative 53. So a sub 25, the 25th term of the sequence, is negative 53. So we have a story problem here for example 3, and it says a bag of cat food weighs 18 pounds at the beginning of day 1. Each day the cats are fed a half a pound of food. How much does the bag of cat food weigh at the beginning of the 30th day? Okay, so we need to identify those three important numbers here. We need to know what our n is, what n is really equal to. I'm going to erase that and just write n. What is n really equal to? What is our first term, a sub 1? And what is our common difference, which is d? What is that common difference? Okay, so n, remember n is the term that we're trying to solve for, and we were trying to solve at the beginning of the 30th day. So n would be 30. A sub 1 is our first term, which we know is 18. And d is our common difference, and we see that our common difference is a negative half, 0.5 every single time, right? So now all we're doing here is we're plugging that into the formula that I gave you guys. A sub n, which is 30, is equal to our first term plus our n minus 1 times our common difference, which is a negative 0.5. We're going down a half every single time, right? So now we're just going to solve this. We get 18 plus 29 times a negative 0.5. Okay, which now we need to multiply 29 times a negative 1/2. So that's going to equal 18 plus 29 times a half is actually 14.5. So this is going to be a negative 14.5. And 18 plus a negative 14.5 is 18 well, really that says 18 minus 14.5 is just 3.5 pounds. So at the end of, or at the beginning of day 30, the beginning of that day, our bag of cat food is going to weigh 3.5 pounds. And that's all you have to do.